Good day, everyone. I am Daisy Spencer, and today I will be starting off our group's video presentation on cultural management and preservation, focusing on culinary heritage. When we talk about culinary heritage, we are talking about our authentic Jamaican food. Foods such as jerk chicken, ackee and salt fish, manish water, rice and peas, and even our sweet treats. Our sweet treats would include our coconut drops, or grated cakes, or dukuno. And some people call it blue jaws, or cornmeal pudding, and or sweet potato pudding, etc. Culture is a very important element in a society because it helps to preserve a country's identity, its traditions, its beliefs, and the way of life of the people, right? Food, especially, plays a major role in culture because it brings people together on a daily basis. We see that in Jamaica that people gather, with their friends or family to eat, and they have a good time and they laugh and they play. It brings back a little love in the society. Also, food reflects the history of the people. For this video presentation, I'll be comparing the cultural systems of three countries: Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and India. And we chose these two countries to compare with Jamaica because we realize that these two countries, they share similar culture to Jamaica. Starting off with Jamaica, Jamaica uses cultural policies and laws to protect its heritage. So organizations such as Jamaica Cultural Development, and we also know it as JCDC, and the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, help to preserve Jamaican culture through different activities such as festivals, exhibitions, competitions, and we see that on a year-to-year basis where the competitions and the festivals, because they have festivals such as the Jamaican Queen, and you have the National Song Competition, and you have the different festivals that goes on a year-to-year basis, especially in the summer, and education programs. Jamaica focuses heavily on community involvement and national pride. So looking at Trinidad and Tobago, no. Trinidad and Tobago also preserve their culture through government support and community participation. One of their major cultural events is Carnival, and we all know that Trinidad is known for Carnival. Uh, which highlights music, dance, costumes, and food traditions. Their cultural system is very vibrant and community based, and this is the National Heritage Trust for Carnivals, right? India now, on the other hand, has a much larger and more complex cultural management system because of its huge population and cultural diversity, right? So we know that India is big, right? And they have different cultural diversity or different cultural forms. They have a lot of cultural forms, right? India uses strong laws. Let me fix that my slide. India has strong laws, ministry, museum, tourism agencies, and even international partnerships, such as UNESCO, to preserve its languages, its architects, its culture, right? So we see that all three countries, they have agencies and organizations which help to protect their culture or to preserve their culture rather, right? Another important point to consider, right, is funding. Funding is very limited in the Caribbean countries, Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. We often struggle, right? Lack of infrastructures and globalization. Sometimes foreign influence causes younger people to move away from traditional practices and foods. As Jamaica would say, we young people, them are left with culture of fast food and foreign style. And we can also see that and I wouldn't say that we blame the young people in Jamaica. I would say I would put a little of the blame on the families because back then, growing up, every year they go to in Jamaica, every year they go to on a Saturday, you'd have most people making soups, right? And on Sunday you get your rice and peas. But we realize that more and more people will save or just carry their family out or they will just buy fast food like KFC and so forth. So body no longer they are sticking to, the soup on a Saturday and the rice and peas on a Sunday, right? India also faces challenges such as modernization and urbanization. But because of its stronger institutional system, and international support, it is better able to manage their issues, right? Preserving Jamaican culinary heritage, Jamaican food is very important to our culture and our identity. And was mentioned, it reflects our history, right? Traditional foods such as again our ackee and sausage, jerk chicken, curried goat, manish water, and our sweet treats such as our coconut drops, our gizzards, and our dukunos, you know, However, globalization, climate change, migration, and changing eating habits are threatening our traditional foods and cooking methods. Because of this, we propose several goals to preserve Jamaican cuisine. One such goal is to teach our young people more about Jamaican foods through schools, food festivals, and culinary competitions. Another goal, right, is to document traditional recipes and cooking methods through cookbooks, digital archives, and videos so that important knowledge is not lost, right? And as a food nutrition and health teacher, I would enforce this goal by, that for food and nutrition, they have to do 3 SBAs, right? Between grade 10 and 11. So what I would do, try as best as possible. And this is one way, right? Try as best as possible to allow or to make these children use traditional recipes and cooking methods to complete their SBAs, right? Also supporting our local farmers, chefs, market vendors, and street vendors because they do help to keep authenticity in our Jamaican cuisine, right? Local ingredients such as yam, cassava, breadfruit, callaloo, piment, and scotch bonnet peppers are very important in Jamaican cooking, right? Culinary tourism is another goal, right? Jamaica can continue to promote festival, cooking tours, seafood festivals, and authentic local foods in hotels and Airbnbs, right? So in the hotels especially, what the hotel owners can do is to introduce more local dishes or meals in the hotel instead of the meals that the tourists are accustomed to, right? And when they do this, the different hotels will call for demands of local farmers and vendors. They would buy from them, right? So you see how they work hand in hand. We'll also look at the stakeholders that we know or we think will help to preserve Jamaican culinary heritage. Government ministries, NGOs, schools, community groups, the diaspora, and international organizations will all work together to preserve Jamaican food culture. For example, Ministry of Agriculture supports farmers while the Ministry of Tourism promotes Jamaican cuisine internationally, right? Schools, right, also will play a major role because teachers help students to learn traditional cooking styles and appreciate Jamaican culture. Community groups, how can they help? Community groups and grandparents also can help by passing down recipes and traditions to younger generations. As we would say in Jamaica, old-time story and old-time story and old-time cooking can't dead, right? And one thing that I can learn from, that I will take away from doing this research or this document, is that I've learned that preserving one culture is not only the government's responsibility, right? It's everyone's responsibility. It's everyone's role to play, right? I also learned that food is much more than what we eat, right? Food tells the story of the history, our struggles, our creativity, and our identity as Jamaican people. This assignment, I can tell you, helped me to appreciate cuisine even more and made me realize that if we do not actively protect our traditions, they can slowly disappear because of globalization, modernization, technology, right? So, with all that is said and done, I will not just do this assignment and put it aside. I will try and I will incorporate what I have said in my lessons. My group members will continue on the other aspects of this video presentation.
Good day, my name is Andre Shaguri. Today I'll be speaking about the implementation of a plan to promote and preserve Jamaica's cuisine. I'll be speaking about the importance of cultural preservation. I'll also speak about how the plan will be monitored and evaluated to ensure that it is successful. I will also include a personal reflection on what I learned throughout this study. Now, the implementation plan to preserve Jamaica's cuisine will take place in four major phases. The first phase is documentation and research. Now, during this phase, teams will travel across the island interacting with community elders, traditional chefs, food vendors, and cook shop operators in order to collect Jamaican recipes, cooking methods, and the history of Jamaican cuisine. The information gathered will be used to create a national digital archive of Jamaican culinary heritage, and this will be shared with the schools, researchers, and the wider public. Now, several organizations will assist us during this phase. The University of the West Indies will assist with research, documentation, and archiving. The National Library of Jamaica will help to preserve the oral history and culinary records, while the UNESCO will provide technical support for preserving intangible cultural heritage. The Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, or JCDC, will assist in identifying cultural practitioners and organize data collection activities. Now, in our second phase, which is education and community engagement, during this phase, Jamaican culinary programs will be introduced in schools and hospitality training institutions. We'll establish cooking clubs and culinary competitions in schools and communities. We'll also have culinary workshops organized across the island to teach traditional cooking methods and encourage young people to appreciate Jamaican cuisine. For this phase of the program, we will enlist the help of the Ministry of Education as they will help to integrate the programs into the curriculum. The iTrust NTA, they will provide culinary training and certification programs. We'll also enlist the help of non-government organizations and local chefs association who will help to set up the workshops and mentorship programs. Now, this strategy respects and appreciates Jamaican cultural heritage. Why? Because it emphasizes authenticity, education, community partnership, and sustainability. And the United Nations Educational, Scientific, Cultural Organization also backs this up, as they state that intangible cultural heritage should be preserved through active community involvement, and intergenerational transmission. Now, Jamaican cuisine represents a country's history, identity, and cultural diversity, making its preservation essential. Now, research also shows that cultural traditions are more sustainable when they are linked to tourism and economic opportunities. Now, by integrating Jamaican cuisine in schools, tourism programs, agriculture, and digital archives, the strategy ensures that future generations will continue to value and practice traditional Jamaican culinary customs. Now I'll be giving a personal reflection on what I've discovered and my thoughts after completing this assignment. Now, personally, this assignment, though it was time consuming, it has proven to be beneficial to me because of the wealth of knowledge that I was able to garner. I now have a greater understanding of why cultural management and preservation are important to a society. I learned that culture protects our identity, traditions, history, and values, while also helping people understand who they are and where they come from. I also discovered that preserving cultural heritage creates a sense of belonging and national pride. Another important lesson that I learned is that cultural preservation can contribute to economic development through tourism, creative industries, and community-based businesses. I also gained a better understanding of the roles of organizations such as UNESCO in safeguarding cultural heritage. Now, this study also taught me the important roles that governments, non-government organizations, and communities play in supporting culture. Now, the governments create laws, policies, and provide funding, while the NGOs offer expertise and training opportunities. And the communities serve as guardians of traditions and customs. Now, as a future teacher of social studies, I will ensure that the preservation of Jamaican culture remains at the forefront of my teaching and planning. I will integrate Jamaican culture into classroom activities by teaching students about our traditions, music, food, and history. I also plan to teach folk songs and assist in organizing Jamaica Day celebrations and other cultural activities at the school that I teach. Now, these activities, I believe, will help students develop a greater appreciation and respect for our culture, while also fostering Jamaican pride, or pride in being Jamaican. Now, I now hand over to my colleague who will guide you through the rest of the presentation. Now, the third phase of the plan is promotion and cultural tourism. Now, in this phase, we plan to establish annual traditional food festivals in all 14 parishes of Jamaica. Now, these festivals will be promoted internationally in countries such as Canada, the United States, and England. Now, we'll also establish food heritage trails and cooking tours to educate the public and also to attract tourists. Now, the Ministry of Education, the Tourism Enhancement Fund, the Jamaica Tourist Board, and the JCDC will work together to market Jamaica culinary experiences and support the development of food festivals and heritage tours. Now, within the fourth phase, which we refer to as economic empowerment, we'll focus on supporting local food vendors, cook shops, and farmers through financial assistance, business training, and partnerships within the tourism sector. The organizations that will assist us in this phase are the Development Bank of Jamaica. They will assist with small business funding opportunities. We'll also have the Heart Trust NCA, which will provide entrepreneurial and culinary skills training. We'll have farmers associations and private sector sponsors who will support marketing and business development initiatives. Now, in terms of the sustainability of the plan, we'll ensure that it's financially sustainable through the establishment of a Jamaican Culinary Heritage Fund. This will be supported by the government funding, also through revenue from tourism through sponsorships and grants. Revenue will also come from food festivals, the culinary tours, the cooking classes, and the exhibitions. In terms of social sustainability, we will encourage a transfer of culinary knowledge from elders to young people and promote community ownership through the creation of culinary heritage committees in communities. Institutional stability will be supported through the integration of Jamaican cuisine in school curricula and the strengthening of partnerships among educational institutions, government agencies, and community organizations. Now, in terms of the measurement and monitoring and evaluation of the plan to ensure that it is successful, now what we will do is that we will use the number of recipes documented as a benchmark of the success of the plan. We'll also evaluate the number of students that are participating in the programs. We look at attendance at the festivals. We also look at tourism statistics and the number of partnerships that we were able to forge during the course of the plan. We will also